Thanks for joining in. How big an event is this for the stock market in your eyes?
I really don't care whether it's a big event for the stock market because today I just want to talk the politics. And, we talk markets 365 days a year. We get to talk politics once every 5 years. I think this is an absolutely amazing set of results, and it lays a foundation for a very, very different India 5, 10, 20 years from now. I mean, that's really the central thing that, I'm focused on. It's a vote for peace, it's a vote for stability, it's a vote against hate-based politics, it's a vote against divisive politics, it's a vote for the poor, it's a vote for the rich, it's a vote for the urban dweller, it's a vote for the rural dweller, it's a vote for Hindus, it's a vote for Muslims. It is just an amazing verdict, and it's my belief and my prediction, and you can note it down. My prediction before the election results were declared was that the Congress would get 165, 170 seats. UPA would get through, reasonably comfortably. But more importantly, my prediction was that give it 2 elections, and the BJP will come down to 40 to 60 seats. That is my long-term prediction on the politics of this country. So the long-term projections on the Sensex, etc., are secondary to me at the present moment. It's my belief that this is a huge pendulum swing in the favor of the Congress that you're seeing. They have absolutely the right set of leaders to take the country forward. Rahul Gandhi's whole initiative to bring in youth into politics, I say, is as relevant, as significant as Rajiv Gandhi's policy of liberalizing IT industry, opening up telecom, the small car Maruti, that was fructified under his watch. All those things were game changers for the India 20 years later. India became a force to reckon with in the world because of IT. Telecom, Bharti goes to, 10 crore subscribers. All the result of those policies in 1984-85. I think, what you're going to see now is 20 years later, our children will look back and say that this was the ultimate game changer on par with what happened in 84-85, what happened in 91-92 when Manmohan Singh became the finance minister of India.
Shankar, morning. So is it a vote for an economy that will rebound faster than any of us expected on Friday?
The thing is, I was telling somebody over the weekend that, it's like getting the news if you're a cricket player that you've been selected to play for India in Test. What do you do then? If I were that player, I'd go out and really celebrate that particular moment, rather than start to worry about how am I going to handle Brett Lee or how am I going to handle, Steve Harmison, because, that takes the edge off the whole event. Those will be tough battles to fight. Nobody's going to give you an easy time when you're out there playing Test cricket. But if you start worrying too much about that, you lose the fun of the moment. I think we should simply enjoy the fun of the moment. That's really the all-important thing. Live today, live the weekend, rather than start worrying about the fiscal deficit and the global slowdown and our export growth and the IIP. Those problems have not gone away. I think we have better tools now to handle those problems than we had on last Friday. Without the left, I think the Congress is a very, very strongly pro-reform party, and which is why I always say that I don't know from where people get the notion that the NDA was the reform and Congress was sort of anti-reform. The NDA built a few more roads. I mean, let's grant them that. But other than that, the big path-breaking reforms in India, starting from Pandit Nehru's time of building a huge public sector, which was a drain for a number of years, but today a large part of the wealth in the markets has been created because of the listing of the PSUs over the last 15 years. So the Congress is a very, very pro-reform party. It has great leadership right at the top, clean government, clean leadership, good governance. And now with Rahul Gandhi, you will have a huge, incorruptible second tier of future leaders. I think, you will see very, very good reforms. Given the constraints of the fiscal situation and the other situations, it may not be absolutely big bang, but, let's just hope for the best.
I go back to my earlier question, Shankar. You've explained how politically significant this could be, but could it be a game changer for the market as well? Do you think such a political result can lead to India coming out of the bear market?
It could. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually did actually play out that way. I remember the verdict that Rajiv Gandhi got in 85. And I remember how bullish the markets were, in 85 and 86. They were just amazing markets. So, the euphoria of getting a good mandate-led government, can do very strange things to the market. So, a bull market will be born once we take out the old highs. That, let's face it, I don't think it's going to happen in the next 3 months' time. It could happen maybe in the next 2 years' time, because there will be a lot of challenges along the way. We are not out of the woods on the pure fundamentals. But yes, we have got a huge chance at getting out of the woods. We've got a huge shot in the arm. So if anything, we have now more ammo. I think, let's just enjoy the moment. Let's enjoy a huge pop of 20, 30%, 40% perhaps in the next 2 or 3 months' time. Then we will regroup and we'll reassess what's to be done. But yes, this does give us a chance to climb our way somewhat out of the bear market. We'll see whether it takes us completely away into a bull market territory. That's still some distance away.
Trading halted at 13.5 this morning, Shankar. You're saying 40% above that?
Why not? I mean, momentum and euphoria are, great things. They can do strange things to valuations. I mean, I don't think India is cheap. If you look at stocks like Reliance or HDFC or even Larsen & Toubro, BHEL, they are not cheap stocks by any stretch of imagination. They were not cheap on Friday. And you add another 20% on top of that, and maybe another 20% even on top of that, you're talking multiples which are now into the mid-20s, even high 20s for some. That's not going to give a lot of comfort to people who look at stuff like valuation. But on the other hand, if you're looking at pure momentum, this could still be a reasonably strong market. Notwithstanding global cues, which, when I last checked this morning, they were still pretty negative.
So, Shankar, would it be prudent to buy in now, hoping that even if there's a pullback, the whole range for the market has shifted up now from the earlier kind of range pre-election result?
I'm not a big believer in just sort of buying in when it's up 30%. By nature, I tend to be more cautious, on these things. But for a long-only fund, they have very little option. They have to go in. For hedge funds chasing performance, they have very little option but to go in. But a guy on the street, he probably has some mutual funds. He has a few stocks. He should simply remain there till such time that we begin to see enough signs on the other side of which is that the global economy is worsening more rapidly, or that our numbers come out much worse. So, let's say the market runs to 40%, and then you get a terrible set of numbers, whether from India or globally, and the market sell off 5% from there. You know that at least this part of the move is then over. So you have some time to take money off the table. Probably not just yet. You can probably ride it for a little while.
But do you think India can outperform because of what has happened over the weekend, and money flows might actually come in more to this part of the world because of the conviction that medium term the shape is changing? Yeah, definitely. I think that would be a reasonable call to make, that India's problems have been largely political. The macro part also suffers because of the politics. In coalition politics, pure coalition politics, it becomes very difficult for the Prime Minister to impose certain performance parameters and guidelines on the individual ministers who are not part of the sort of the large party. So it's not like a class monitor who can dictate terms and conditions to various parts of the class. The Prime Minister in a coalition is really nothing but a, he's like just a broad father figure. But if from a coalition partner, the minister is not doing a good job, there's very little the Prime Minister can do. Now, fortunately, you can hold ministers to strict accountability. And by whatever I have read in the papers and seen on television, the Congress is pushing even the coalition partners, whose bargaining power is a lot lower. The Congress is pushing them to bring and nominate younger leaders rather than the old fossils. So even from the Congress, the fossils will probably get less of a chance. The younger generation will get more of a chance. And because of the strength of the government, of the Congress, they can push even the coalition partners to give them better ministers, rather than the old fogies the last time. And the other very significant thing I must add is that in Bihar and in UP, whatever the stats was, that none of the contestants with criminal backgrounds got elected. I'm telling you, this is not just about the stock market. The electorate this time has given just a very intelligent verdict. So no Taslimuddin, no Shahabuddin, no various Singhs and Yadavs who were running around with rape cases and murder charges on them have gotten elected. That's just an amazing statistic, that the voter is not as dumb. He gave everybody a chance. Now he's decided that I want to go in favor of an all-inclusive party. And that, I think, is even more significant than a 20% pop in the markets.
Absolutely, that's spectacular stuff actually. Last we spoke, Shankar, you made the point that you weren't completely confident about the fact that the market may have put the worst behind it, i.e. that it will not return to the bottoms that it saw earlier. Do you see that happening? Barring an October-like situation, do you see that the market may have put the worst behind it?
Look, the further you get away from the lows, the less the probability. I mean, that's commonsensical to say. India may well have done that, given that, I think the government's first 100 days usually are, especially not hobbled with the left, they will do a lot of, sort of, at least the headline announcements will be quite positive. So in that context, the markets have more bias to trade upward rather than downward. But, I don't want to really think that far out just yet, whether all bottoms are in place or that even a near sort of retest of the bottom is completely off the table. I think the probabilities have diminished over the weekend dramatically, without any doubt. Anybody, analyzing markets has to recognize that, this has been a game changer. But I think the world economy is still struggling. India is still struggling on the macro numbers. We've seen IIP numbers. We've seen export numbers. I don't think the challenges have gone away, and given the state of the fiscal deficit, those are problems still. I think to say 7,700 gets reached that easily, probably not. But I would still say there is still a 10-20% probability that we might, in the event of very bad numbers here or globally, we might get somewhere close to that. Maybe even a 9,000 seems to be a distant number.